Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Janette Lenoir with ePluribus America, and we are here on EPA Live with a fabulous panel. And I'm going to start with our pioneer, our icon, Mr. Byron Lars, who is joining us to discuss the 65th Grammy Awards fashion. We also have Dr. Diane Marte. She's also a designer and teaches all the unique, everything that people don't really pay attention to when we talk about fashion. And the same with, Byron Lars. And then we have DC fashionist and a financial guru, brains and beauty as well. My friend Janay Eyo, who is director of financial policy at the Chamber of Progress, but also a DC fashionist who I reached to because I'm like, oh, you have to be part of this conversation because of how much she loves fashion. So, Byron, let's start before I start the video, which is how we start. Let's thank you so much for joining us. Just at face value, what are your thoughts about the 65th Grammy Awards fashion? Were you happy with what you saw coming out of the Grammys or not?
One thing that I thought was a marked change and that certainly does work with my sensibilities is that there was a lot less nakedness. I like the fact that, wow, there's actually something left to the imagination here, and that is a good thing.
Okay, I'm
I don't
glad
know
you
how
said
much
that.
further it could have gone if it just kept going the direction that it had been
I,
heading in, which was, I guess,
yeah,
full nudity, pasties.
well, there was some nudity, not as much, but as you'll see in the video, there was some nudity.
I
So
missed it then. I
yeah,
didn't really watch the whole show, so I only saw highlights from the
yeah.
show,
Mhm.
but it was hard to avoid any nakedness once upon a time. So the fact that there was, some alternatives is a good thing.
Exactly. Diane, what are your thoughts, just at face value?
Oh, I agree. I was really impressed with what Lizzo was wearing. I love the red carpet look. It was just fantastic. And I was kind of surprised that she was wearing a little bit more than I expected during her performance. And I love that dress as well. It fit her very nicely.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice of dress to wear because she was completely covered. It was
Hmm.
beautifully covered, but she
Mhm.
was completely covered. Um, but what are your thoughts, Janae, about that particular outfit?
I agree. I thought this year a lot of the looks that I really liked were totally covered head to toe. I saw a lot of capes and draping, which, was something that really appealed to me because, I think this is the season of, people are transitioning into more modest looks. We've been seeing the midi dress and the midi skirt for so long. So people are definitely looking at covering more in post-COVID era. I would say I loved Lizzo's look. I thought it was so beautiful, and I loved her curls with the flowers on the cape. So it really reminded me of. At first, I thought Little Red Riding Hood, but then I said, "But this is like a very chic, iteration of Little Red Riding Hood." Like it was just really beautifully done. I thought the materials looked beautiful. And there were other people as well that wore capes on the red carpet that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Byron, about covering Lizzo up? Because yeah, she stands out as not your typical thin model, and so we want to celebrate her, but yet we're covering her body up. I mean, did you walk away with any sense of that? I mean, in spite of how beautiful it was, did you take away anything other than just okay, it's just the cape? But did they cover her up?
You know, Lizzo will not be covered up.
Okay.
Lizzo is calling all Lizzo shots.
Mhm.
So she's made that very clear to all of us.
Yeah.
So I think we can all rest assured and sleep well at night that Lizzo is in control of her own destiny. And that was a very pointed decision that she decided to make. I think it honestly
Mhm.
proves that she's coming more into her own, that she doesn't have to uncover to prove anything to us anymore. because she is a bona fide star. She's a bona fide hit maker, and that's undeniable. So she doesn't have to show out like that anymore. I thought it was like evidence of her really coming into her own.
I'm really glad you said that because it actually is in line with what you said earlier about it being less nudity at the Grammys and at these sort of events, which is actually the norm. I mean, but it was like, how much more naked can we go? We've been naked at the Met, you know, we're naked everywhere. Now we're moving to like sacred places for social media. You know, there's a lot of nudity. But let's let's introduce you all a little bit differently to our listeners with a video, and then we'll also see some of the fashion we just talked about.
This is half the fun of the Grammys, is watching what people are wearing. It's,
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I'm following people on the red carpet going, what?
Okay, so what are your thoughts on what Body Rage just said? You know, did you have that same shock factor? And I'll start with you, Byron.
You know, I don't shock anymore. I think I've been shocked to a point of numbness at some times. So I didn't find anything shocking. I found things like interesting. For instance, is
Okay.
Miss Sam Harris here in this kind of
Mhm.
Mardi Gras looking?
Yeah,
I
the whole
you know,
thing.
I just find it interesting. I think
Yeah,
it's great when you know, they find ways. I mean, it's rock and roll, so they have a
yeah,
lot more leeway than anyone else on the planet. It's just like I remember when Prince was in tasteful lavender blush and eyeshadow, and his butt cheeks were out. You know, at the Grammys, I was like, you know, this is like a perfect moment, but only in this moment. It's the perfect
yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So Diane, considering what you do as far as patterns and structures and whatnot, did anything stand out to you? Any fashion stand out to you at the Grammys?
Um, you know what I really did see was that a lot of the garments, like they fit really well on
Mhm.
all the people who are on the red carpet. Of course, I saw a lot of black, but the one thing that did stand out was that red and that shocking orange. Like that was to me a theme for the evening. And actually, I do want to add a little bit more. What I loved as far as representation is all the inclusivity, only because my research has found that we're still not doing it. And we're now teaching our students, okay, let's fit this type of person, let's fit this body type. And now that there's more inclusion, there are going to be more markets that will be available to those customers who want that. So I really like that. I love like is her name Patras and Sam
Yeah.
Smith? I love that look. I
Yeah.
sound like an old person. I should know who these people are. But but yeah, I was just like, yes, yes, we want more of it. And my students are like hungry for more of it.
Yeah.
So I love seeing that.
Yeah, the inclusivity part is certainly changing, and I think the whole theme of evolution really showed up. Janay, but anything as a fashionist, and when I was putting this panel together, I'm like, oh, how cool! We have fashion from someone based in Harlem. We have fashion mind, someone based in California, and here in DC. I mean, three of the fashion capitalists. I mean, you guys are leading the way. I mean, Europe is too, sure, but you all are certainly leading the way when it comes to what the future looks like in fashion and wearable art. So when it comes to wearable art, which, Janay, you're somebody who is known for that, anything that you look at here and say, you know what, I can incorporate that piece into my daily wear.
Absolutely. I really admired the different body shapes that you all were talking about earlier. When you think about inclusivity, you also want to think about, different shapes and sizes on the red carpet. And that was something that really stood out to me this year. You had a lot of different bodies. You didn't have that stick thin, 2000s award show, body type. So that was very refreshing. I think another thing that I think of when I think of inclusivity is menswear. We see a lot of men, taking, playing with fashion. They're not just wearing a boring, tux to the award shows. Just thinking about Harry Styles, he wore overalls with patchwork designs. It's very risky. It's very bold for, a man to show up on the red carpet wearing something that is fashion forward and trendy. And I thought that was very refreshing. Definitely something that I can, incorporate into my everyday workwear. DC tends to be a little conservatively dressed, but not being afraid to kind of take some of those risks, like maybe wearing a cape to work as an outerwear piece, or, maybe wearing, incorporating some metallics. I saw Machine Gun Kelly wearing a full metallic suit on the red carpet. It was reminding me of Michael Jackson in Rock With You in the music video. He's fully bedazzled. I love stuff like that. So that's definitely something that I can incorporate into my everyday workwear.
Yeah, I love it. And some of what you mentioned is highlighted. So let's keep going. Nudity. They show up. So, we have to stop and talk about the queen herself winning uh, 32. She broke the record of winning the most Grammys. I mean, Beyonce always delivers. Beyonce is a beautiful woman, a very talented artist. Obviously, she's um, deserves every accolade imaginable. So. What can we say, Byron? What can you add about Beyonce? Do you think she was robbed, cheated, or any way, or what are your thoughts on Beyonce's record and what she's doing now?
I think Beyonce has earned every little bit that she's gotten, and we've definitely seen some moments where she deserved more than she got. But she's she was she's always been very gracious in what she didn't get in the moments, and I think that's like really stands out. And yeah, I'm just so happy that she really made this benchmark this season.
Yeah.
As far as her fashion, I'll probably get egged from this. I do not love Beyonce's fashion.
Ooh, okay. None of those looks. None of those looks. Go
None
for
of
you.
them.
None of them. Not even the middle one.
No, I really love when Ty was working with her. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they were family, and he could be probably honest with her on a level that like maybe hurt sometimes, but was only for the betterment of her the overall effect. You know what I mean? But Beyonce is such a boss. I mean, like, who's going to tell her no?
Yeah.
And sometimes you need somebody that has some modicum of veto power, even with you, to be
Yeah.
like, hey, B, maybe this,
Mhm.
not that.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Because none of these looks actually wowed me for Beyonce. I wasn't wowed by any of them. You know.
Yeah, I
And
want to be blown away by her. I want some kinky hair for a change. I mean, I want some
Yes.
options that like I guess she is like, no to that. I want some, you know, I just want more of a dream.
Mhm.
Well, Diane, this is perfect. You have the kinky hair that Byron is talking about. I do too. I keep my hair natural. I went natural during COVID, but I've been, keeping my hair natural ever since. But what do you think? Is there room for kinky hair at this level, at this high level of fashion, or does it still pay to look like a white woman?
I sure hope not. I mean, I think it should come from Beyonce so that it encourages others to do so and not have to think that, oh, I have to look a certain way in order to get somewhere in life. I'm all about it. Like, I literally chopped off my hair when I got my job in California, and I just moved there and I had not looked back. And I love my hair the way it is now. And I could never think about going back to like straightening it for long periods of time. I mean, I do every now and then just to change up the look, but I would love to see more of that. And just to celebrate Black beauty, Black hair, and how awesome and amazing and resilient it is.
Yeah. Without it being like a prop,
Yeah.
like a thing.
Mhm.
I saw that with, she was a Latina woman and, love and hip hop. I can't think of her name, Lamara. She's a performer from, but she had the whole Afro thing going, but it seemed like more like a gimmick rather than an embrace of black hair, which is something new, to embrace black hair. And Byron, you actually are very instrumental in making black hair uh, enjoyable, making a child want to reach for a doll that has black hair. You actually collaborated with Barbie doll to you have a line of black Barbie dolls. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was a big deal for me with that
Hmm.
whole Barbie endeavor. It took a while to get there because it was supposed to be a one
Hmm.
doll deal, one and done. And
Hmm.
quite honestly, the first one wasn't super fun, so I thought it would be one and done because there were a lot of old guard at Mattel that like had some pretty staid ideas about what Barbie could and could not do, should
Yeah.
and should not wear, and who she was and what she. But it's just like Lizzo, Barbie can do whatever she wants.
That's
And
right,
it was
Barbie.
like, so do not marginalize her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thankfully, sales went well with that first doll
Hmm.
and the second one, and then there there were some retirements that happened that really opened up a lot of more possibilities, which is why, is it finally able to do that Elec black doll, which I'm so proud of. Like there had never been a Barbie that black before that
Hmm.
moment. But since there have been many.
Yeah.
So, she sold and proved that there was a market for this kind of Barbie and with kinky
Yeah.
hair and dark skin and thick lips and all the things that make, our people like fabulous and stand out. I mean, like everybody that doesn't have that seems to want in and get injections and
Right.
perms or wear wigs.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like, look, let's just celebrate what we bring to the table. And it's a lot.
But it's just now taking time for us to celebrate what we
Mhm.
bring to the table. For example, when you think about it's Kim Kardashian, the Kim Kardashians that really make the idea of a big butt, so to speak, look attractive as long as it's on somebody with her complexion. She broke the internet with that really an old African photograph that she recreated, but for some reason it was more accepting to the wider culture or society, so to speak. But do you think we're making any inroads in that field? I mean, do you ever think you could see Beyonce rock a kinky hair to I don't even know if she has kinky hair or not. I mean, I don't know what she does to her hair, but do you think she would ever uh, wear kinky hair to an award show such as the Grammys?
I allow me to chime in. I think that Beyonce's hair, I think her mom still does her hair because her mom, Tina, is a hairstylist. And her
Yeah.
mom was, a stylist for Destiny's Child. She used to sew all of their costumes and everything. So some of those 90s and 2000s red carpet looks that we've seen from Beyonce and even some of the hair from Destiny's Child, it was all done by Tina. I think Tina is very devoted to making sure Beyonce's hair, natural hair, looks really good. So I don't think we'll see her real hair for a really long time. I remember there was an Instagram post that Tina shared on her Instagram and showed the length of Beyonce's natural hair, and it was pretty long. But I think to protect it and keep it safe, from outside environment, she keeps it in these wigs and in pieces. I feel like with Beyonce's hair, I would like to see her in more kinky styles. I know that she wore a kinkier wig for Austin Powers when she was in the Goldmember movie. But I really want to see her get out of this body wave look because we've seen this before. Like this was like we saw this in the 90s. I remember her wearing the same, hairstyle. And, I think, just like switch it up, like Doja Cat switched it up. She wore short hair on the red carpet. I think short hair is interesting too. I would love to see Beyonce in something different, besides like the body wave, the curls, the loose curls, or just jet bone straight hair. I'd really like to see her maybe switch it up, maybe like a bob or, maybe different color, just give us something a little new.
Yeah. I know and then we also get into that territory, which a lot of folks in the Black community deal with, like, oh, if it's good hair or this type of hair, you know what I mean? We're very sensitive about our hair, but it is what it is. But let's keep going.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm here with my nephew today, so yeah.
Family affair.
It's a family affair, yeah.
Let's obviously we will talk about Harry Styles because he reminds me, he's so iconic, the way he's a star, he's a bona fide star, even the way he dresses. But the other fashionista or fashionist that I'm starting to see is Cardi B. I'm like, okay, that she, you remember when she was first going to these shows, she kind of got a knot on her head, people, she got a little trouble, but she's blossoming to be somebody who wears clothes very well. Diane, what do you think about Cardi as a fashion icon?
Yeah, I agree. So I've noticed like through the years, she likes a lot of sculptural pieces. That's what she does. And I've noticed the past 3 years, and I forgot who she was wearing, and I should have done my homework more, but it was one of those iconic dresses, and I forgot from an iconic fashion designer, but I think that's where it started. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. And I like her covered up, actually. It's nice.
She looks like a sculpture, just like you
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
Byron, what do you think?
Yeah.
Would you like to dress her? I mean,
Oh, she'd be fun to dress. Yes. Yeah. And she likes to take risks. So yeah, that would be a lot of fun for sure.
yeah. Byron, are you impressed with her look for the Grammys? Is this a winner? Are both of them winners?
I think so. I mean, this is what you watch the Grammys for, to like stretch your imagination and like to see some wow factor. And she definitely always supplies that. Maybe it was Mugler you were thinking of before?
Yes.
The
Yes.
dresser? Okay.
Mhm.
Because I know that was a good moment. And,
Yes.
and it's really refreshing that she inspires designers to the level that she does. Designers that don't look like us, I mean. because of course we think all that she brings to the table is amazing because we know what that is and we appreciate that. But it's nice to see others appreciate that too. And she just pulls it off so well, and honestly, surprisingly well. I wouldn't have expected her to embrace true fashion as well as she seems to. Yeah. I just love her in almost everything. Like in that what was the oh my gosh, the Scaparelli, when she shows up at those shows in some amazing art piece, and she's just
she surprised me. Janay, what do you think about her both of these outfits?
I love both of these looks. I think Cardi B is the hidden gem of the hip hop community because she is like a Renaissance woman, and it's just right under our nose. We don't even know. I wasn't surprised, that she would, have something that's fashion forward. I love this blue on her as well. I'm really happy that I think she's kind of showing us through fashion that she's transitioning away from that, from her humble beginnings on Love and Hip Hop. And, she's a mother now, she's a wife, she's really becoming her own woman. And I love seeing that in the fashion choices that she makes on the red carpet and when she's, just doing her everyday paparazzi strolls. So really, really happy about this look, and she looks wonderful.
I agree. Let's keep going. So I want to stop with, I love me some Toni Braxton, but I have to admit that we get this from her all the time. What do you think? Am I wrong? Do you want to see something different? Byron, what do you think about this outfit? And
all I can say is I'm in 100% agreement with you. So I don't have much more to say than that. I mean, we've been here many times before.
I know, it's like, come on, because she does it on social media. She has a really good Instagram page. She captures herself very well. But it's like, I was completely like, really again, Diane? What do you think? Are you?
Yeah. I mean, this is actually one of the more tame gowns that she's been wearing. I feel like the last few years. So maybe it's a step in the right direction. But I would love to see something completely different.
Yeah, I want to breathe again.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the men for a little bit. Women tend to dominate the fashion world, or at least so we think we do. But what do you think about these two looks, like the sequins gray suit and the velvet suit on Trevor Noah, and that's I believe Jackson Aaron.
Okay, the flip is just killing me. It's so very wrong that it becomes right in this moment for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like, okay, thanks for the laugh, but I'm loving it. I love a sense of humor in rock and roll. Like, God bless George Clinton for bringing that on like years and years ago. I thought Rick James was in that camp too, but it turns out he was serious. But he still gave us all great laughs. I think this is one of those moments.
You don't like this look? You don't.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I love it, but let's face it. I mean, you got to go for the laugh is there, right? I mean, he's definitely not taking himself super seriously in this, and I love that.
Yeah. What do you think, Janay? I think that sequence is very serious. I think he also comes from an era where he doesn't play when it comes to sequence.
I love the sequence. I think it's very, it's very different. The hair flip it's reminding me of those shows from the 70s where they have the roller curl in the front. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
talking
That's right.
about.
It's like on those straightener boxes, those girls with,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
But I really like that, it's fun, it's different, it's creative. And I really like it. Like this is what these award shows are about. It's expressing yourself. It's, kind of pushing yourself when it comes to, fashion. And I even like the velvet on Trevor Noah. I've been seeing a lot of men opting for ththese velvet jackets recently. And it's very stunning. Velvet is very regal. I would love to
Yeah.
see more men wearing a velvet. It looks really nice, and I like that midnight blue color as well. It's looks very, very becoming.
Diane, how important is it to be tailored?
Oh,
Because we saw during the Trump era, everyone was so confused about his tailoring. But how important is measurement and tailoring and all that, especially when it comes to men dressing men?
oh, it's everything. I kind of cringe when I see a man in a suit that's like ill-fitting. All the wrong drag lines and wrinkles. I'm like, oh, please take it to a tailor. I feel like you look like $1 million if you just take that extra step and you just get measured and you get the alterations that you need. And these are the skills we're teaching our students. We have a tailoring class. We have tailoring workshops so that students can actually work with people and they can fit them, and they alter, design jackets, everything, working with hair canvas, linings, everything, so that we will not have to see much of that, at least not from our students. No, tailoring for me is everything. And I think that's one of the things that, because of fast fashion, a lot of consumers are just not educated anymore, because now it's more expensive to make clothing, right? Buying the fabric, the materials, whether you're purchasing the pattern or creating your own, it's more expensive to sew up something than it is to actually purchase it. So now we kind of have to go back and reverse and train our consumers again and saying, hey, fast fashion, not so great for the environment or humans or anybody at all. Let's try to focus on purchasing something that lasts, that looks good, and that you can enjoy for more than one wash.
Yeah, and I love the whole idea of resale shops and thrift store shops. I remember as a teenager, and even sometimes I still find some of my favorite pieces at resale shops. So, Byron, let's just, if you could say something about that. How does and I like what you said there, Diane, about fast fashion, because that is a real problem in the fashion world. Uh, Byron, how much so is this fast fashion impacting the industry that you're a part of, that requires creativity? I mean, that's the antithesis of fast fashion, which is really competing in the market.
I think the most damaging impact that it's had, I mean, destruction of the earth, our planet, our home aside, is the lack of value that people have for what it takes to make clothes. Just the lack of value of clothes, and the idea that there are people's hands that make these clothes. They want a low number, and they want variety to post something new on Instagram. And, that's part of like the impact that they don't really take into account, because they just want something new. And I agree with you 100%. We have to re-educate this consumer to see why it makes more sense to spend a little more for something better that's going to be around. The problem is, I don't know that we have a culture of people that want things to be around. I want to make an impact, and then I want to keep it moving. And if I can make the impact for $7, great.
Yeah.
So that's the conundrum here. And nobody talks about like really good clothes as being a part of the solution to sustainability. Buying something that you love, that is worth something, and you keep it and you wear it again.
Mhm.
I love that about Mrs. Obama when she was FLOTUS. I mean, I love that she, first of all, wore a J. Crew dress.
Yeah.
$78 full retail. We could all afford it. That's
Mhm.
not exactly sustainable, I know, to make a $78 dress. It's pretty tight, but still just, oh no, it was $178. $178. And she wore that dress 3 times. And I just loved her for that. You know,
Yeah.
things of ours that she wore. She wore several times. She wore one dress of ours 4 times. And I'm like, good for you for like showing us that it's okay to repeat things, because we're not all big celebrities that get like have a stylist pulling things for us to have a, you know, red carpet moment that's different from every other red carpet moment
Right.
of our lives, you know. So
Yeah.
fashion is bad.
She even went so far to shake the fashion world by wearing shorts. You remember, you remember how everyone lost their mind. Oh my God, FLOTUS wore shorts coming out of bed. But it goes to show you the impact of clothing and designs. I mean, it can really, you know, shape a person's thinking of you. You know, you put your best foot forward. Depending on how you dress, someone will judge you immediately within seconds of meeting you based on what you wear and so forth. So clothing is very powerful, and obviously so is the quality of clothing. So, but let's keep going and talk about it. Usher, I think this is a great good look. Yeah. I like this too. She doesn't change either. She's just a goddess. You know, just so yeah. So these are Lizzo's 3 looks. This is how she was covered. So do you guys agree? You approve of all 3?
I do.
Yeah,
I
think
like
so too.
I like the silver and the red dress. The black, I feel like, you know, I didn't like the material on the bottom, but I did like the corset part. It was very nice.
I agree with you on the material on the bottom. It has a strange end point.
The
It's
hem.
yeah, the hem it just seems to just stop.
It's
So
like it needs a little more, it needs more guts in there, you know, like some layering and maybe like some weight at the hem to make it like,
yeah,
you know, as important as a star as she is. It feels
yeah.
a little poor.
And I think the silver one look is so flattering on her. It's a flattering a material, flattering all around.
The ruching on it definitely
Yeah,
adds to that appeal too for her.
yeah. It's just it's a very sexy look to me.
Did you guys happen to see that speech? Even though I didn't watch, oops, sorry. Even though I didn't watch the
But
whole, I saw the recording of that speech that she made in that silver dress, and it was just, if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. I
yeah,
mean, I know everybody's on her side anyway, but you'll be that much more so
yeah,
hearing that
yeah.
speech.
She's you know she's reaching icon status. I think I don't think she's there yet, but this look is making her more serious to me. What do you think about the whole couple matching look? I think it's still, you know, I think it's very cute. Is it in? Is it out? What do you think, Diane?
I like couples coordinating. I mean, I coordinate now with my partner, so, and I tell him what to wear. So yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I think it has a cohesion when you're on the carpet together. Like if you're arriving on the red carpet together, it would make sense to have coordinating looks so you don't look like you guys are going to sometimes 2 different events. But you know, if you're like Jay-Z and Beyonce where they've showed up separately, then totally okay with not coordinating. Then
Yeah, I agree. And they're both mega stars. But yeah, I like the whole coupling thing. What about you, Byron? Do you like couple dressing? And should we also criticize LL Cool J for always wearing that type of hat?
The
Like we
kangaroo?
criticize.
Well, since I'm always in a bandana, I would have to call bullshit on myself if I were to say anything about it. It's like
Maybe his head
it's
is
what he
cold.
does. But I think as far as the coupling and matching, it's when it's black and neutral, it's a non-issue. It doesn't always work for me when it feels like prom,
Mhm.
when it's a little like my tie matches the color in your dress, matches the obviously you should look good together, but I do appreciate when it's a little less obvious that someone was like, I'm going to pick up the color of this and you're that, when it feels more organic.
Yeah.
But that really takes a very skilled hand and a stylist to make that happen.
Yeah. All right. Let's
We have Best New Artist nominees, Måneskin. How are you guys feeling tonight? It's your first Grammys.
It's great. We're very, very excited. We're so happy to be here finally.
You are now officially an EGOT winner. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Ooh! How does that feel? It looks like your eyes have a little water in them. I'm emotional for you.
I'm really emotional. My life has really come full circle. I mean, I wrote this book because I was trying to reconcile my life. I was trying to honor the young Viola. I wanted her to be excited at the 57-year-old she gets to become. And this is just the icing on the cake.
You got to believe in yourself, believe in the art, and dreams do come true. Don't, in life, you can't let the fear deter you from going after what it is you want to go after. And you also can't let yourself get frustrated off your game. Because a lot of times, in a career, it's, you want to get the plane off the ground, you also want to land it. And you have to do that numerous times. So you can't let the turbulence, you can't let anything stop you, you know what I'm saying, from going after what it is that you want.
So I thought, even though this wasn't part of the Grammys, I thought that this particular piece of fashion was worthy of noting because I just wanted to get your thoughts on it before I touch on the other fashion. But Janay, let's start with you. What do you think of this fashion statement?
I mean, I didn't know if this was like a PSA for, the one of these like save the lions, or you know what I'm talking about? Like I was waiting to hear Sarah McLachlan, that's just my initial thought. And my second thought was like, I feel like I've seen this on someone before. Like I think I remember I saw this on like a red carpet maybe years ago, but either it was like Nicki or another rap another female rapper that had something like this before. So it wasn't the first time I'd seen something like this, but I just thought it was like, I don't know. I also am like not a big fan of the Kardashian, the Jenner. So I wasn't surprised when I did see that this was a look already done before.
Yeah. Byron, what do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Could you see this in one of your designs?
Well, I mean, like and dislike aside, I appreciate that it existed because I don't know if anybody saw on Instagram this lion in the savannah with with her head, Kylie's head, side of him. I sent that out to all my friends. If you haven't seen it,
I
give me
haven't seen it.
information.
I'd
I'll
love to
send
see
it to
it.
you. It was hysterical. Listen, we all know this is like a gimmick for the House of Schiaparelli. I mean, but one thing that's undeniable is the workmanship on this faux fur. I mean, I cannot believe that looks like a taxidermist like got a skin and really got up in there. I mean, so yes, as far as this is a viable fashion piece, will anybody else? No, of course not. But there are lots of things to admire, not the least of which being that post that I told you about.
Yeah. Diane, what do you think of it? Does this make sense to you? Are you supportive of it?
I don't know what to think, but I do appreciate the craftsmanship. I just can't stand the Kardashians and everything that they're, I just can't. I can't. So I just don't.
Okay. You don't think they've done a lot for the culture? I mean, you don't think they've made their mark, that they've earned their place in, in American culture, so to speak? You don't think so?
No.
Or do you think they've done more damage to the culture?
Damage. Yeah, especially to the Black community. A lot of appropriation. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not a fan of it.
My business partner, she always says like, because I just marvel at them. I'm like, why does anybody care?
Exactly.
And then she always reminds me, and she probably about the 12th or 13th time that we went through the cycle of that, she reminded me that like so much of youth culture, they want everything for nothing. And the Kardashians are proof that that can be achieved. And they want to live vicariously through them. I don't have any talent. I should be rewarded.
Yeah.
I don't have much of a work ethic. I love all the spoils that this planet has to give. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think she's right. I think it has something to do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it must. What else can it be?
Yeah. And it even looks so entitled. It's such an entitlement, like you think you get to wear my head on your shoulder? What do you think you are?
The king of the jungle.
Right.
Like, the jungle.
If it was a fair fight between you and me, whose head would be on whose shoulders. But go ahead and play the part. It's a little controversial, but we got to talk about it.
Donna, how good is it to be here tonight?
Pretty good.
We caught Madonna backstage too. Her look has definitely evolved in the 24 years since her Grammy debut.
Are you ready for a little controversy?
Madge passed the torch to Sam Smith and Kim Petras, who set the Grammys on fire with their performance of Unholy, and also made history.
I'm the first transgender woman to win this award.
What is this made of?
Angel skin.
Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly coordinated their silver looks.
Well, everyone was on their feet. J-Lo, The Rock. When Five-time Grammy winner Stevie Wonder and Chris Stapleton brought down the house in a thrilling tribute to Motown legends Smokey Robinson and Berry Gordy.
It was fantastic. You know, getting up there with Stevie, if you can't feel that, you're dead, man.
Stevie met Smokey when he was only 10.
He asked me, can I sing? I said, yeah, I can sing. I sing better than you. I don't know about all that.
So how was it on the stage?
Oh, boy, we had a ball. We had a young group, man. Golly, they are incredible.
I thought that was so great to see the young group that Smokey Robinson just pointed out. They just gave me so much hope, especially when we look at what music looks like, and even how we're looking at how our fashion choices are evolving. Even when you look at Madonna, who's been criticized for, a lot of people do want to support her and say, hey, whatever makes her feel good. And others say, yeah, but she also sends the message that it's not okay to age gracefully and that you should do something about it. So, there's argument on both sides. But when you, amongst all of that noise and all these different things that are going on, to me, it's such a nice reminder when I see these young kids playing music like back in the days. You really feel like, okay, not all is lost. Like, they're still listening to the classics. They're still building upon the foundation that's been set, and it's not just all debauchery and just a way to just get you to be controversial or whatnot. So Byron, let me start with you as far as the criticism when it comes to Madonna. Do you think she's causing more harm than good because of her evolution?
I don't know the harm or good she's may or may not be responsible for, but I do wish I do wish she'd have a slightly different interpretation of what this point in her life looks like. Because it does feel a little desperate. You know what I mean? It's like there's some really great power in aging gracefully. It's not like slipping off into the night with a whisper. I feel like it's, she's accomplished so much to be proud of. She worked so hard to become the icon that she is, that it's a shame to see, her become a parody of herself, rather than just to really grow into this, wiser version of herself that you would hope that she would be at this stage, but hey, everybody's got their own journey.
Yeah. Janay, what do you think about Madonna and all the chatter?
I feel bad because, firstly, it's her face. She can do whatever she wants to do with it. Secondly, I think, the era that she was in, plastic surgery was not as technologically advanced as it is now, where people can just go and get a little prick here, a little prick there, and they have an instant facelift. So thinking about if you're doing work in the 70s, 80s, 90s, that maintenance, modern plastic surgeons are doing maintenance on old techniques from decades ago. So there's likely going to be some complications with that. I also think that, she has, she's trying to stay relevant, with the younger gals. And I mean, when you're a pop star, like that's how you make money, is by being able to go out and tour, putting out albums, so you do essentially have to compete with, the new people that are on the block. But I feel bad. I think that, in Hollywood, you can't win, either way. If you age, if you just age and you wake up one day and you look like a raisin, people are going to make fun of you because you're saggy and old. But if you do work to, or you try to maintain the work that, you had decades ago, and something happens and you get a little botched and you look like Jocelyn Wildenstein, people are going to laugh at you then too. So it's like, you can't really win. But I think they should just leave her alone.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Diane? Do you think she sends a bad message that it's all surface level, that you should change in order to stay relevant? You got to go under the knife. Do you think the message is not a good one, and that she should age gracefully?
Well, I mean, it's really about the patriarchy. So I mean, she's just she's, I suppose, like not a victim, but just, she's a product of what's going on right now. So I don't really have any issues with someone trying to spruce up a little here and there. I think it's all about how they feel. And if she likes how she looks, I think more power to her. But it's really more societal. That's really more of the problem than what Madonna's even doing. I think she's just doing what she needs to do.
Yeah. Well, we're so lucky to have Byron Lars with us. I wanted to play a little bit. There's a little video that I was able to get where he gave us, a couple of ideas. So before I let you all go, if you could, and then we'll end with questions of the day. But here's another little video.
I mean, we've got two of our dressy dresses here. That's pretty straightforward. You're probably thinking like, yeah, you'll wear a heel, neutral heel, something like this, and keep it moving, which is fine. You'll look great. But something you might consider is like a pop color on a neutral dress. A little black dress with a bright shoe is a really good thing to do. And something that I like, that's something just food for thought, is a trudgy boot. A trudgy boot with an evening dress is a great modern look and more practical.
I mean, it's terrible art. I love the one in the middle. Well, folks, Byron, everyone, all of you all, it was such a pleasure to share this day with you and talk a little bit about the Grammys. And it's it's not lost on me that you all are joining me on Black History Month, and you guys make such an impact in our culture for our people. You're an example, and the blueprint that a lot of us still need. So thank you so much, very much, for joining me. Before we go, question of the day. So, a popular Italian restaurant in New Jersey made the controversial decision to ban children under the age of 10 from dining there. Do you approve or disapprove? Now, this restaurant says the children are ill-mannered and they don't behave. And even though some of the kids behave, a lot of kids don't, and they're not having any of it anymore. So starting March 10th or in March sometime, no kids allowed in this restaurant under 10. What do you think? Byron, let's start with you. Do you?
I 100% agree. People have not been parenting their children. I mean, now 20 years ago, this just wouldn't have been the case. All children would have been welcome and they would have been behaved.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, I don't even know what these parents expect to happen with their kids once they're gone. I mean, I don't know that they think that there's going to be a world for them that's going to accept this or should accept it. So I'm 100% agreement with that decision.
Okay. Diane, what do you think? Do you agree, disagree?
I agree. I mean, I don't have kids. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm assuming this restaurant is a fine dining establishment. So yeah, I kind of want to enjoy my meal in peace and quiet.
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying the same thing. You know, some people are like, hey, wait a second, you know, can't kick my kid out. My kid is well behaved. They're like, sorry, one bad apple ruins the bunch. We don't care how good your kid is. You know, Janay, kids or no kids?
I mean, I don't have any kids of my own, but I disagree just on the principle of it being a potential slippery slope. So we have restaurants banning kids. Now we've been hearing murmurs about, you know, passengers wanting to ban kids on flights. They want to have kid-free flights. And, you know, if we make a space where kids are not really welcome, then, you know, this is the next generation. You know, where can they go? You know, they're just going to be going stir crazy in the house. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like, you know, there should be a better policy. Maybe like after a certain time, you know, maybe have adults let kids dine during lunch. But that's the policy wonk in me. Always trying to find different solutions around it. But I think we should just not have the kid ban. People will get now you'll hear Walmart banning kids and all. I don't like that.
I love kids. I love kids. It's their parents that are doing a horrible job that, you know, unfortunately is ruining things.
Yeah, ban the parents.
Ban the parents.
There you go.
But also in school, you see this behavior in schools as well, where even teachers are feeling the brunt. I mean, there's the 6-year-old that shot a teacher. So there's a lot of kids are out of control. You know, I mean, to the point where they're being asked to stay home, like call a babysitter. You know, you don't have to go home, but your children are not welcome here. You know, it's you know, it is what it is, but we do have to do better. We have to rein in our kids. We give them a lot, you know, but they can't have it all. Well, anyways,
share this, though. Can we all like just agree to participate in that effort? Because sometimes like we're so reluctant when we see bad behavior out there with children, like you don't want to say anything, you don't want to get cursed out, you want to, but if we don't call it out for what it is when we're in the presence of it, then in essence, I guess we all become a part of the problem, you know? So that's just something I'm asking.
Yeah. No, I like that ask. The other part of that ask is hopefully the parents don't react, because sometimes this whole community parenting where it takes a village, it used to take a village, but now sometimes when that village stands up, those parents attack you, like you become part of the domestic incident, you know? So people even become afraid to even say anything because of fear of retribution. But my hands are always on deck, for the change I want to see, and I ask for that as well. Just don't hit me. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much again. I've kept my next guest waiting long enough. But before we go, everybody, one word answer. Before we go, and Byron, Super Bowl prediction: Chiefs or Eagles?
Chiefs.
Diane.
Eagles.
Janay.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I sincerely appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All right. Hi, Sheila. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, this is the crew that's about to leave, but thank you so much for joining me.
Yes,
I know you're stuck with us, Byron.
I'm trying to sign out. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I can remove you if you like.
Okay.
Anyway, so how are you? Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed this segment. It's a topic that I usually don't get to spend much time on, so I was pretty intrigued by the conversation.
Yeah, well, fashion is it touches so many parts of our lives, and everybody's looking for their own space in it. So, but you bring something else to the table today, and I thought that was so timely, especially when we get into the season. Tomorrow, Super Bowl already, so everybody's grilling. Everybody is grilling. So this is a perfect time. You are a healthy eating coach. You're a vegan chef, a motivational speaker, and you do a whole lot of things that I hope we can continue to talk about on the show.
Absolutely.
So welcome, Sheila.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. It's my pleasure and honor.
Thank you so much. Well, before we get started, let's show a little video of some of the work you do when it comes to this divine health journey that you're on.
Absolutely.
I actually was taught, I actually got a chance to prepare it myself. So I'm going to remember that, so I can do that when I go home and take it to my family. But it was really good, and I feel so good that it was so healthy.
Talk about the government apparatus, which in a narrow space was headed up by someone very familiar to those of us who think about the civil rights movement and the struggles in the South. And that someone is Bull Connor.
Yes.
And you juxtapose a Bull Connor with a Martin Luther King.
Dr. King, 115 years after Frederick Douglass drops that bombshell that literally triggered the Civil War in the spiritual realm, he comes and drops a jewel on us that relates to Connor.
And then we're going to go ahead and do the white mushroom. So what you kind of want to do with your mushroom is that just like you're doing right now, nice, even, hearty sizes.
Do you ever feel clogged, fatigued, overstuffed, and just really tired? The problem is many Americans are eating what's called the standard American diet, which really is SAD, an acronym, and literally. What that means is that you're likely walking around with anywhere between 5 to 20 pounds of waste stuck in your colon right now. You've got to get your colon cleansed, and you've got to find a way to do it naturally.
I wanted to add
I was born in the southern land. That's where I became a man.
I'm not hearing you because the video is my roots. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you were saying.
No, it's okay. But I was going to say that's the winner of Best American Roots Performance, Stomping Ground, and that was Aaron Neville with the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. So they won a Grammy. So we talked about the Grammys, so I wanted to end the show with a little bit of their sound. So, but Sheila, as you can see, you do a lot of things, not just advocate for healthy and divine eating, but you also do a lot of speaking of our ancestors, our historical Black leaders and figures and so forth. So you're doing the work. You've got boots on the ground, trying to, well, spreading knowledge and information in more ways than one. So um, thank you and welcome again. Let's talk about divine health. What is it?
Well, thank you again for allowing this platform to bring some of this beautiful knowledge that I have discovered by both study and experience about having a decent, respectable, honorable, and public, transparent relationship with food that not only honors what you do in private and publicly, but also takes into account everything that you are as a person, and particularly with a focus on soul food and by the people who created this phenomenon out of the most dire circumstances, and seeing if there was a way that someone like me who was over 300 pounds, was on the brink of a heart attack, and was struggling with all aspects of life, politically, economically, romantically, all of these things culminating and beating me down to the point where I had lost my desire to just be in the world and be my best self. And so what came out of that was a wisdom, a beauty, a series of terms rooted in our ancestral connection to food, to freedom, and to health. If you do any work with me, you're going to see that I'm always making a correlation between food, freedom, health, and the systems that have been used strategically by our ancestors, whether that was our enslaved ancestors and all the way back to a beautiful period in ancient Ethiopian and Ghanaian empires where people had the freedom and the luxury to just be in the world. What does that look like over a span of time, and how is it relevant today? And so divine health means to be in excellent physical condition, to possess a sound mind, and to experience spiritual balance, and that's at any age. So let's start right there, because in order to have that in a world as challenging to the mind, body, and spirit environmentally, with pollution, challenging with food, in terms of even more so today, what we're seeing is apparently food shortages, which to members of the African American community and other communities where African people live throughout the diaspora, that's not a new phenomenon, right? Certainly our enslaved ancestors in this country could teach us a thing or two about food dignity, food humility, food honor, and food shortages, right? Whether fabricated or natural, from famine or from food-related crop diseases or from oppression. So what I discovered on my own journey to become alive again, to become healthy, because I wasn't always 300 pounds. There was a time where I was a dancer and I taught dance and I was active and I was moving. But somewhere between the age of 18 and the age of, I think, 38, when I started that journey, a lot happened to transform me in a way that I could no longer recognize myself. The magic happened when I confronted that. When I confronted that and I decided I was going to take life on by the horns and I was going to live. And the decision to do that was so phenomenal. And what that led me to do was to first cleanse my body. So like many people, I thought, okay, well, I will maybe start with a detox. And I saw this amazing video, right? And it was about this guy named Joe Cross who did a juice fast and he lost like 90 pounds. And I thought to myself, wait, that's all I got to do? I can do that, right? And so I started my journey kind of right there when I really got serious about it. And I was working 2 jobs. My son was about to my son actually had graduated from, he was about to graduate from high school. He had just turned 18. And I thought, I can do this. I can do a 60-day juice fast. The best decision of my life, Janay. Not only did I lose 52 pounds or 53 pounds, I think, but I came down what seemed like almost 7 to 10 dress sizes. It was for the first time in a long time I was able to wear a medium. Okay. So that was a big deal. It was a huge confidence booster. But at the end of that, I didn't consciously go into it, but I realized, wait a minute, I've been vegan for 60 days and I had no desire for sugar, for salt, and for fat. And so I said, I'm going to continue to do what I was juicing, but I'm going to do it with food. That ultimately led to my first book called Divinity Soup, an ancestor inspired recipe starring collard greens. Because while I was going through that journey, I was enjoying it. I was learning and experimenting, but I was missing something that my grandmother brought to my dinner table when I was a little girl. And that's that soul. That's that divinity that she incorporated into every meal. I wanted to be vegan. I enjoyed being healthy. I lost 135 pounds over a 17-month period, but I was missing spirit in my food. And I was missing some of the foods that I enjoyed growing up on. And so I decided to try and work with collard greens for the first time. And was there a way that I could have collard greens without having meat in it? Or was there a way that I could season it or still have the texture that my grandmother had and the spirit of love in it? And that concept led me to something that I call today divinely prepared meals. Because what I realized going through this introspection about why I was enjoying food, I was enjoying weight loss, but I was missing the emotional beauty that came with being around a dinner table surrounded with family who were eating these soulful meals made by someone who loved them, was that there was actually two parts to human hunger. And if you don't satisfy both of these aspects, one being completely physiological, that deals with just the consumption of food, your belly being full, right? And then there's a spiritual side that also needs to be addressed. And when it's not, let's put it like this. When it is, that's when we get up from the table and we say, girl, you put your foot in that peach cobbler pie. Or you say, Grandma, that was so good. You put your heart and soul in there, right? What we're really speaking to is the energy and the love that goes into a meal that's equally as important as the nutritional value within the food. That's what we call divinely prepared meals. And the opposite of that, contentiously prepared meals, has a harmful effect that doesn't serve the two sides of human hunger. And often when we eat contentiously meals, which I assure you at some point in your career, your life, or your interactions with this world we're in, you've had a contentiously prepared meal. And those meals, no matter how much you eat, you still feel like you're longing for something. You ever eat a big fast food meal or something, you're on a rush, not that you want to, but you eat something that you didn't plan to eat, and then maybe 20 minutes later you're just like looking for a bag of nuts, or someone offers you a donut, or you're still lingering. It's because you haven't had all of the spiritual nutrition and sometimes the actual physical nutritional needs met. This is what the work I'm trying to do is bringing awareness about the spiritual nature of food and even sometimes the political nature of food, so that we can have a better approach to being discerning about what we eat, where we eat, why we eat, and when we eat. Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah. And we live in the richest country in the world where we have so much access to food, but yet, we also live in the same world where people go dumpster diving because they are food insecure in America. And we tend to look at America as such a rich, wealthy place where there's such an abundance of access. But I think there's a need for the work you do, because that the reality on the ground is that we are becoming more and more food insecure. People aren't growing their own food anymore. Only a handful, only 4 people produce the most amount of the food that we use. Only 4 corporations control or deliver that, which is very scary stuff. I think to be more knowledgeable about food, where it comes from, our role in it, and how we consume it, and how it impacts the food ecosystem is very important. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's you mentioned something very interesting, is that we appear to be the richest country, the most democratic country, and we also appear to have access to food, really good food. But really, many of us are accessing food products, which are byproducts of real food. And so there's this conversation that needs to be had, or really is already being had, simultaneously with not just having access to food, but having access to real food, to organic food, to foods that we probably, in many instances, don't know how to properly prepare. You know, ironically, I teach an emergency preparedness course, or workshop actually, where I talk about the importance of having bulk foods, right? And there was a study done by July, the oven manufacturer, and what they found is that only actually less than a quarter of Americans know how to cook and actually cook their meals within a given week. So people are accustomed so much to seeing a whole pizza that all they have to do is throw it in the oven. And when FEMA, for example, says, well, you know, in order to be prepared for a hurricane or hurricane season or a tornado or flooding, and when those times you can't necessarily access food, it would be great if you had bulk foods in your storage, you know, like whole grains and corn. And most people today, I would dare to argue, don't even know how to grind corn and make cornmeal and then turn that cornmeal into hush puppies or cornbread. It's a dying skill. And it's a conversation that I think yeah, or even how to take, you know, whole flour and turn it into grain, and how to manipulate these raw bulk materials. These are things that 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 200 years ago, people did out of necessity. We completely take these things for granted. And I think it's a conversation that we need to be having simultaneously as we talk about health and wellness and our relationship with food.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. As someone who I come from a developing country, Suriname, and so people take for granted, you know, our access to food. You know, I know people who go hungry every single day.
Yeah.
You know, every single day there are people that go hungry. You know, and there's such an abundance all around themselves, but the lack of education, you know, is crippling. So, any tips that I love gardening? I'm a huge gardener. I wish I could garden all the time. But anything you want to leave folks with as far as divinely eating? You mentioned something about the humility of food. Can you explain that briefly before you leave us with a little divine food tip?
Well, food humility is centered around this concept. So like when I teach women about proper detoxing, just using what's available to you. Like I believe our enslaved ancestors were gifted with two very special things during slavery, where they were literally restricted to a diet, let's say, of pork fat and cornmeal, two horrible combined agents when you think about the fact that that's what you had to eat daily. And if they were lucky, molasses. Well, these brilliant people, these brilliant ancestors decided that they were going to combat that with any way they could. And like you said, with gardens. And so one of the countermeasures they used was, whenever possible, if they were allowed, or if they, you know, could even do it without permission, was to garden and grow collard greens and kale and okra and beans and sustain themselves and supplement a very toxic diet. Well, the collard green it's what I refer to as an agent of divine health. Just like mushrooms, just like garlic and red onions, these are foods that have medicinal properties that not only go into the body and remove that which should not be there, but they replace and restore that which should be there. Using collard greens and kale and the other magical gift of watermelon, another thing that takes away and literally flushes the colon system, helping to purge out parasites even. When those two things are combined, something really magical happens. But it's appropriate timing coupled with intermittent fasting. So what I do is a divinity soup 3-day challenge that's designed to do 3 things. It's designed to do a gentle periodic detox that allows you to incorporate the whole family, because it's not about starving. It's about staying focused on a divinity soup for lunch and dinner, and your melons for breakfast to flush the body. But there's a spiritual and mental component as well. Because I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Janette, where you've gone to the refrigerator and you see that you've got a whole refrigerator full of groceries that you just got from Whole Foods or from Mom's or from your grocery store. Yet you close that refrigerator and go and order Chinese or go and order Mexican or slide over to the local, shop. So what is it within us that looks in a refrigerator? You talk about abundance and food arrogance, that looks at that refrigerator full of all the healthy foods we promised to make ourselves and close it instead and go buy the foods that are already made that appeal to our sense. And so this detox is designed to address that, to say for 3 days, and for 3 days only, I am going to limit my diet to that which I have. I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to use it to purge my arrogance around food that makes me feel entitled to have Monday Mexican, Tuesday Chinese, Wednesday Thai, Thursday Vietnamese, Friday Jamaican, and let all of that beautiful food just waiting in your refrigerator to be consumed just go to waste. That's what I call food arrogance. It's this insatiability, this unwillingness to stop yourself and to think about what it really means to have a powerful relationship with food, where you touch your vegetables, where you pick up your greens, where you soak your fruit and you wash it and you touch it and you eat it and prepare it for yourself and family. Food arrogance can only be countered with what I call food humility, which is the immense appreciation, gratitude, and reverence for the sacredness and value of food.
I have a lot of food humility because, I come from people who grow, we live off the land, hunt and fish. I'm a Pamaka person. And so when it comes to food, I have a great deal of respect, and I'm truly humbled about that whole topic because I know firsthand what it's like to go to bed hungry. I know what it's like to have families starving and waiting for the season to bring the harvest, but all the work that has to go into making that harvest. Listen, it's a big part of our lives. I do not take it for granted. I love my relationship with nature. I wish there was more of it. So, but Sheila, thank you so much for reminding us how important food is in our lives. We can't escape it, so we might as well have a good relationship with it, especially on a divine level.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much for allowing me to share that.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing it, and we'll bring you back for more. So this is just the beginning. But before I let you go, and we end our show with the question of the day, and for you is, should the Kansas City Chiefs change their name and mascot? And the argument is there's a protest and a current a petition being signed and passed around. Is that Native American people say they're being used as mascots and their humanity is at stake. What do you think? Should they have changed it before? I believe they've changed it a couple of times before, but should they change their name and their mascot again?
I think there's two parts of me that want to address that. I think they should not change it without also changing the spirit that allows for them to even think that that's okay in the first place. I mean, it's one thing to change it, and let's say they changed it to the Kansas City Rednecks, right? Or the Kansas City tobacco smokers. I mean, whatever the spirit is behind some of these political machinations that allows people to think that other cultures and other groups of people are products that can be marketed in these kind of cynical ways, I think that's the problem. Because you won't have that unless you already have that as a part of your mindset that this is good. So changing the name without changing the spirit behind what allows you to do that, and the policies that enforce these things, and the economic drivers that make people who are in power and in position feel that that's okay, it's not going to really achieve the goal. It will just manifest itself in some other format. We need a complete overhaul of the mentality and the power structures that enable people to think that that's okay in the first place. So personally, I say leave it, because it allows the rest of the world, the subjugated peoples, to clearly see what they are up against. Sometimes these cosmetic changes are detrimental because it gives us a sense of comfort that things are changing in a meaningful and in a systematic way, when it's just appeasing the ego, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do, that's for sure. So I'm not sure if you're watching the game or not, but if I were to ask for your prediction, would you say the Chiefs or the Eagles?
I'm gonna
for
say
the Super Bowl?
I'm gonna say the Eagles.
Okay, sounds good. And as you know, Rihanna will be performing the halftime show. Stephen A. Smith got in big trouble for trying to, say that she's not Beyonce. But what do you hope to see from Rihanna tomorrow during halftime?
I wasn't prepared to answer that question, but I don't actually watch football either. So what I will say is, it would be lovely to see something that inspires young girls who look up to her to find another way of being in the world that honors their intellect, their dignity, their modesty, and their sense of purpose in the world, if Rihanna will allow me to say that.
Okay, I think you said a lot there. You're speaking, but you speak through the ancestors, so we already know that you come with the heavy hitters.
No, that's sweet. Thank you. I just, there's so much to admire. They left us such a powerful legacy. But you did put me on the spot there, because I was really guessing for the Eagles. I was like, okay, Philly is closer to you than Kansas.
Yeah, it's I don't have a dog in the fight, but whoever wins, God bless you. I'll be way to go. But anyways, well, Sheila, thank you so much again. I really appreciate your time. I look forward to having you back on here.
Thank you, my lovely lady.
Forward.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your platform, and continue the amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's because of people like you I get to keep doing it, and you all make it amazing. So I appreciate that. And thank you all out there for joining me once again. And I will see you here back. I'll see you back here next week. I'm Janay Eyo, and this is Our American Culture.